The Black Lives Matter movement, catapulted from its beginnings as a hashtag 7 years ago, gained significant momentum this May when George Floyd was killed by a Minneapolis police officer. Following his death, the United States saw collectively one of the largest protests in its history, and those protests spread all around the world. This is Place de la République in Paris, the heart of protest in France. In the months after George Floyd's death, a new and candid dialogue has emerged about race and discrimination. Today I'm going to talk to two leaders at GE Healthcare, the first at the beginning of a career and the second who's got 4 decades of experience and is now taking on a new role to tackle this long-standing issue head on. We're going to talk about the movement itself, we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion, and we're going to talk about their own personal experiences.
I want you to take a quick look at the photograph.
I know what photograph you're referring to.
Well, I've got a couple, so there's a couple of options here. Mike, when was that photograph taken, and what jumps into your mind when you look at that photograph?
This was taken in 1989. It's cover of the GE Foundation annual report, and I was volunteering at an inner city school in Milwaukee, providing some mentorship for middle school kids to get them encouraged about what they could do with their lives and how they could move forward.
What's changed in the culture of GE as an organization?
The culture of GE has always been one of wanting to get better and being a company that is in a number of different types of businesses, but each business group being in a leadership position in their industry. And wanting to do those things that were necessary to get better, serve our customers better, have better financial performance, and continue to contribute to the communities where our employees work and live.
And Mike, in those 40 years, have you ever experienced any racism, any discrimination? And if you have, what did it look like? What did it feel like?
There's a classic, you're in a meeting, large group of people, and you're trying to get something resolved, working through something, talking. There's a lot of back and forth. And there have been noticeable times, because I've talked with people after the meeting, where an idea came out of my mouth and got no reaction. And 10 minutes later, it came out of the mouth of a white male person. Oh, that's a great idea. We should go off and do that. And then afterwards, again, people would say, well, didn't you say that just in a slightly different way 10 minutes sooner? And it's like, yes, but life goes on, you move on. I've had just one incident where there was an older engineer. We sometimes have temporary people come in and work as part of projects. So we had a big bolus of work that had to get done. An older gentleman came in, was working with us. And he got upset about something, and he used the N-word about another person who actually was an African-American. So, why did that person in XYZ think he can make that statement? And he looked at me and realized that he was, he turned beet red. He was very apologetic. And I used it as a teaching moment.
And was there any way of addressing those issues? Did you ever feel that by addressing them, you would actually get some sort of resolution, or did you feel like it was best not to address those issues?
My way of moving forward around things is to address them and get to some type of conclusion. It may not always be a conclusion that I wanted, but it was going to have some type of conclusion around it. Otherwise, you can't move forward.
Heather, you've been at GE for 2 years now. How has your transition been into the company from the experience of potentially being discriminated or potentially experiencing racism? Have you experienced any of those things in the 2 years that you've been at the company?
Unfortunately, yes. I would say that when I completed my first rotation in Mississippi, I got a chance to visit a rural hospital in Mississippi, and I went there with two coworkers who were white, and we entered the hospital, and we met with the nursing director, and she refused to shake my hand. she wouldn't shake my hand at all.
Wow.
She shook my coworkers' hands, but didn't shake mine. And so I kind of figured like, oh, maybe she was just ready to get to this meeting, and I kind of brushed it off, right? But I attempted again at the end of the meeting, and she still wouldn't shake my hand. So, my coworkers didn't really say anything. And so I was like, did they not notice? Were they not aware of this? And then I figured in that moment that I wouldn't say anything either. I would just kind of ingest it all and sit on it and realize that regardless of what your educational background is, what experiences you may be getting, if you look different from someone else who has a prejudice or a bias against you, doesn't really matter, which is unfortunate. But that was my experience. And it took until I went to my second rotation in Wisconsin that I opened up to my cohort and opened up to my manager at the time and said, this happened to me. Everyone talks about it's a leadership program and it's great and it's awesome. And you get to travel to all these different places. But being the only African-American woman in my cohort, this was my experience. And at some point, I didn't even feel like I could share it with anyone because I don't think anyone would really understand. But the moment I opened my mouth and said, this happened to me, everyone, this is a thing, racism is a thing. Like, don't think that because, we all came out of college or grad school and came to this program together that all of us are going to have the same experiences. They're going to be different. And they're going to be different, unfortunately, because I look different from the rest of you all.
Now, Mike, you're the Chief Diversity Officer for GE. It's a new role. Why did GE create this role and why now?
GE has had this role before. It's been in a different configuration. There was a Chief Diversity Officer that reported in to the leader of the HR organization. What Kevin Cox and Larry have decided now is they wanted operating people and have it as an operating role. So it's people shouldn't, look over and say, well, that's the responsibility of another organization. Because when you look at the operating team in the company, that's where a lot of hiring happens. That's when the development, the promotions, all those things happen within the operations. And so having this role report directly to Larry and work with the senior leadership team was felt that was key and important. So part of it, again, is ensuring that there are more diverse employees coming into the company that are participating in the company, that are achieving in the company, that Heather can see role models in the company that she can go to for mentorship, that she can have opportunities. We have a lot of internal development opportunities that we give for people, that she can participate in those opportunities just like anyone else and focus her energy on making herself as a better professional and her as a professional helping a company achieve its goals. Those are the things that I want to make sure we unlock, because that's what's going to make this better off for all of us.
Heather, what are your expectations then for an employer when it comes to inclusion and diversity?
I would say my biggest expectation is for my employer to hire people that look like me, or hire other Black and brown brothers that experience racism or discrimination, or just aren't the white majority. Let's pretty much just put it like that. I expect them to go out to the places that are untapped and unreached and find this top talent, because there are individuals out there who look like me who could be great benefits to this company, right? Or any company that I'm working for that matter. So a company that goes out and actually recruits people of color is very important to me. An organization that is committed to also retaining that top talent as well, that these people of color, is also very important.
Mike, how diverse is GE right now?
This is an area we recognize that we have to get better at. We want to get better at underrepresented, gender, overall diversity from perspective. Our organizations, which are global, who have mainly a global presence, where there is as much about gender and other things and people with different backgrounds. And so we look at the numbers to understand the numbers so we can internalize and recognize what it is we want to achieve. Short answer to it, not diverse enough.
Heather, who are the people that you reflect on that have been your rock, if you like, getting to where you are today?
So, Mikey, I would say the most important rock in my life would be my grandmother. She migrated from Ghana, West Africa. So my family's from Ghana, West Africa. Her thought process throughout life was that education would get you wherever you wanted to go. You just needed to go and get that education. And so she instilled that in me. And I would say most importantly, she taught me the importance of being bold and tenacious. And the first thing that she would tell me is that God made you the same as everybody else. The only difference is that you look different. And being a sociology major, I just tell her, you know what, you're right, because race is a social construct, right? But we are all one race, and that is the human race. And so when I turn to her upset, dismayed, angry, she says, well, you are still a child of God, just like that person. You just look different, but you are all the same. And that's what I roll with.
Mike, what would be your biggest piece of advice for Heather?
To always have that belief in yourself of what it is that you can achieve. There will be hurdles that are in front of you or weights on the shoulder. There are people that you can and should look to for support. We talk about it, it's a relay race. Be ready to contribute in your day job, call it, and the things that she's doing in the commercial leadership program. It's a wonderful program to get different experiences at different points in time. Make connections with people. She talked about she was in a role in Mississippi, a role in Wisconsin. Make these connections with people such that you can reach out to them, that you can get advice, find those mentors that you can confide in, do those activities. Where the company is today is going to be different than where the company is 5 years from now. Is different where the company is going to be 10 years from now, where the society is going to be as well. So continue to push, continue to strive for excellence, continue to demand excellence of those around you, and continue to expect and put a responsibility on those in leadership to provide an environment where your skills, your abilities, your capabilities can be maximized for the company. Because that's what the company should want. I want to get every ounce of energy from you for you to help make the company better. And any ounce of energy that you have to put in things which are a counter to that, you need to let us know about it so we can minimize that so your energy can go and make the company better.
And Heather, a bit of crystal ball gazing here. You're in Mike's position in 40 years' time. What does the world look like? What does Heather Afriyie hope for?
So 40 years from now, I don't want to give away my age. I should be retired. That's the hope. But no, I would say 40 years from now, as my career advances, I would hope that the world just looks equitable. I would hope that in every aspect, from a health perspective, from an economic perspective, I would just hope that the world will finally look equitable for all people, regardless of what they look like, and that everybody gets what they need in the portion that they need it. And that's the desire. I think that we really have to get to a place where we can reach social justice for everyone. And so hopefully that's what the world will look like.
It's been a privilege having you come on, talk to me, share your intimate moments throughout your careers. Best of luck and thank you.
Thank you, Mikey.
Thanks so much, Mikey.
What a wonderful chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.